Hey everyone, my name is Chloe, and today I'm here with a extra book haul. So you guys, I do an in and out at the beginning of the end of every month, where I tell you everything that I hauled and unhauled for the month. And this is really intimidating as it is, and so I did not want to add this to those books. So our library has a book sale every quarter. I think there's 4 a year. And so it starts Friday 9 to 5, and then Saturday 9 to 5, and then it's fill a bag Sunday afternoons or something like that. I don't know. Last time it happened in January or whatever it was, my daughters and I accidentally kind of went right Friday at 9, and it was a madhouse, you guys. It was a madhouse. And yet there was so much good stuff, because often I would go like Saturday sometime when either my husband could keep the kids or whatever. I would not be in any rush to get there, and it was always kind of picked over. I would get a handful, maybe 3-4 books. That was about it. And there was so much good stuff when we accidentally went Friday at 9. So then this time it was the week after, like my birthday was a Tuesday, the book sale is Friday. And so I had been all week like, can I just go Friday at 9? I had my mom up here so she could watch the kids. Everything was supposed to work out great until my kids were sick. And so by that time, my kids have been sick forever. And at that time, I thought everybody was going to be healthy, but I wasn't sure. So I didn't have my mom come up because her health is a little bit compromised as it is. And so, and then sure enough, that morning, one of my kids had a fever. And so I took the other two, I took the youngest two, and we went to the book sale about 9:30 on Friday. And you guys, it was chaos again, but I filled a massive box. And so I'm going to talk to you about all of these books, and it's a lot. And so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail about them because it is a big box, and I don't want to be here all day, and you guys don't want me to be here all day, but let's just go back through this. So it's now been almost 10 days since that library book sale. So we're going to kind of rediscover these together, because at the library book sale, everything, hardbacks are $1. Hardbacks are $1, paperbacks are 50 cents. Everything is $1 or less. So I spent this whole box, I think was $21 maybe. We'll see. So let's go through them. So first we've got Call Your Daughter Home, and this is by, Deb Spira maybe. It's covered everywhere. So this is about a stunning tour de force following 3 fierce, unforgettable Southern women in the years leading up to the Great Depression. So the Depression is something that my grandmother lived through. She lived in Oklahoma in 1934, and then they went to California. So it's a topic that really fascinates me. So it's 1924 in South Carolina, and the region's still recovering from the boll weevil infestation. Gertrude, a mother of 4, must make an inconsciable decision to save her daughters from starvation or die at the hands of an abusive husband. So that's really all I needed to see. Retta is navigating a harsh world as a first-generation freed slave, still employed by the Coleses, an influential plantation proprietors, etc. Annie is the matriarch of the Coles family. So it's going to be 3 women who seemingly have nothing in common, yet as they unite to stand up to the terrible injustices that have long plagued the small town, they find strength in the bond that ties women together. I love this. Feminist depression novel? Sure, sign me up. Next is My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. So I have heard a ton about this book, and it's blurbed by Harlan Coben, who's one of my favorites, and yet I don't really know anything about it. Dexter meets Mr. and Mrs. Smith, about a couple whose 15-year marriage has finally gotten too interesting. So you've made some mistakes, you might have done some bad things, but you did them together and for each other, didn't you? So that sounds so interesting. I don't want to know anymore. Next is an author that I've really been wanting to try, and that's Chevy Stevens. So this is Never Knowing, and I don't know. It's Lisa Gardner says, block off the weekend, grab a comfy seat, and prepare for the rocket ride of your life. So let's see. All her life, Sarah Gallagher has wondered about her birth parents. As an adopted child with 2 sisters who were born naturally to her parents, Sarah didn't have an ideal home life. The question of why she was given up for adoption has always haunted her, and finally she's ready to take steps and find closure. So I am fascinated by adoption stories. I think that sounds like an interesting family dynamic. I have heard a lot about Chevy Stevens, and so I'm really excited to try this one. Next is a duology by Maria de los Santos. So it's Love Walked In and Belong to Me. And this is about Martin Grace enters the hip Philadelphia coffee shop Cornelia Brown manages, and her life changes forever. But little does she know her newfound love is only the harbinger, I don't know, of greater changes to come. Claire Hobbs is an 11-year-old abandoned by her erratic mother, goes looking for her lost father, paths cross, etc. So then I think this continues to follow that story. So sounds good. Next is, okay, I think I've got a couple of these. If I'm Found and If I Run by Terry Blackstock. Let me find If I Run. So this is a series that I have heard nothing but praise about, and it's in really rough shape, but for 50 cents each, I will take it. So If I Run, Casey Cox's DNA is all over the crime scene. There's no use talking to the police. They failed her abysmally before. She has to flee before she's arrested, or worse. The truth doesn't matter anymore. So I think this is a trilogy. These were the only two I could find, but this has been on my top of my list for a long time, and I'm so glad I finally found it. Next is Blindsided by Priscilla Cummings. So this is one that actually my almost 3-year-old picked up and said, Mama, take this. And I was like, oh, okay, because it actually sounded interesting. So in many ways, it's a YA. In many ways, Natalie O'Reilly is a typical 14-year-old girl, an excellent student, many good friends, a family who loves her, but a routine visit to the eye doctor produces devastating news. She'll lose her sight within a short time. So that sounds so intriguing to me. So intriguing. So I'm excited. Next is 15 Minutes by Karen Kingsbury. So Karen Kingsbury is an author I really like. This is in really good shape, minus the TC written on the spine, but otherwise it's in good shape. And so this is about Zach Dillon. Karen Kingsbury is a Christian fiction author. So this is Zach Dillon made a promise to God and his college sweetheart as he left his family's horse farm in Kentucky to compete on the popular reality TV show 15 Minutes. If he makes it, the fame won't change him. So, and I think it's about fame and music and all of that. Sounds great. Next is Good Grief, a novel by Holly Winston. So this one, let's see. This one looks like it has seen some love. The pages are kind of yellowed. They're super soft. It's in good shape, other than that. And it doesn't even have a synopsis on it, except it's blurbed on the back by Ann Rivers Sidens, Jennifer Weiner, Luann Rice, Audrey Neffinger, and Jennifer Cruz. And the book is told, it says part 1, part 2, and part 3, and the different parts are denial, Oreos, anger, depression, escrow, and ashes. And lust, bargaining, waitressing, mentoring, dating, baking. So I think this is going to be a woman's story of grief. I love the bunny slippers, and it sounds like a women's fiction that I'm going to really like. Next is one that I've actually already read. I read it in the 10 days or whatever that I've owned it, and this is Maternity Leave by Julie Halpern, and it's an interesting one about a woman who has a baby. She wanted a baby because that's kind of the next step. She was married, all that kind of stuff, but then she is really more attached, I guess, to her cat or dog or whatever than her baby, and trying to figure things out. And it's a great it does not explicitly discuss postpartum depression, anxiety, and that kind of stuff, but it kind of portrays it pretty well, and it is told in how many days old her kid is. So it's 1 day old, whatever. And it's got 10 days old. It's almost like journal entries. And it was really relatable, really funny. And it is about the however many weeks of maternity leave she gets. If you are a fan of Class Mom or anything like that, this is kind of a similar concept. It's a funny take on maternity leave, but also with some realer elements in them. Next is The Good Dream by Donna Van Leer. So Donna Van Leer writes an inspirational Christmas series called the Christmas Shoes or something, and I read all of them and loved it. This one is about Tennessee, 1950, still single in her early 30s. Ivory Walker is considered an old maid, a label she takes with good humor and a grain of salt. But when her mom dies, leaving her to live alone in the house she grew up in, to work the farm she was raised to take care of, she finds herself lost in a kind of loneliness she hadn't expected. And so it's about her story. And I'm not sure, I think there's a young boy that her life soon changes when a feral, dirty-faced boy who has been sneaking onto her land to steal from her garden comes into her life. So that sounds interesting too, and I trust Donna Van Leer. This is number 3 in the Yaya prayer group, Yaya Sisterhood. Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood. There you go. This one is Yaya's in Bloom. I have number 1 and 2 on my shelves, and so I got this, even though it's got deckled edges, and I am team no deckled edges, but that's okay. This one is in like perfect condition, and it is Someone Knows by Lisa Scottolini. I love Lisa Scottolini, and I don't even know what this is about, but it says, Allie Garvey is heading home to the funeral of a childhood friend. She's not only grief-stricken, she's full of dread because going home means seeing the other 2 people with whom she bears an unbearable secret. 20 years earlier, horrific incident shattered the lives of 5 teenagers, including Allie. They played a dangerous prank that went tragically wrong. I don't know. She stands on the precipice of losing everything, and I don't know. Sounds really interesting. I think it's from multiple, like, that's got different names at the top of the chapter, so I think it's multiple perspectives. I trust Lisa Scottolini, and I think she won't do me wrong. Next is Strands of Truth by Colleen Coble. So I also don't know what this is about, but Colleen Coble is somebody, I have found that, like, I like her standalones better. She is a, romantic suspense, Christian fiction kind of author. So Harper Taylor is used to being alone. After all, she grew up in one foster home after another. Oliver Jackson finally took her under his wing when she was a runaway teenager, and now Harper pours her marine biology knowledge into Oliver's pen shell research. But she's never stopped wishing for her family of her own. So when a DNA test reveals a half-sister living just 2 hours away, she's hopeful and nervous. That's all I needed to know. So, sounds really interesting. Next is Secret Lives by Diane Chamberlain. So I love Diane Chamberlain, and I want to read her entire backlist, although I'm finding that I really don't like her earliest works, and I'm actually reading this now, and this one was published, I think, in 1991 originally. Yeah, and it's okay. It's about a woman who is trying to find out more about her mom, and her mom has died, and she was raised by her uncle, and so her uncle then gives her journals that her mom wrote. And her mom was like an author that was very well known, but also very well known for being eccentric and weird, I guess. And so she's trying to find out more about that. And she meets a guy who's an archaeologist. It's okay. It's long. They're really long, and it's just okay. Next is The Forgotten Orphan by Glenys Peters. So this is about England, 1940. Abandoned when she was tiny, Maisie Reynolds was separated from her twin brother and forced to grow up in Hollybush Orphanage, a place where she has never known love or kindness. But with the world at war and Hitler's devastating bombs coming even closer, fate has other plans for Maisie, and a secret from her past changes everything. She meets a paratrooper, etc. Like orphan is kind of a buzzword, especially when we're talking about World War II stuff. I don't know why. So here it is. Next is James Patterson's Sam's Letters to Jennifer. So I've read another one of these kind of books, and they're really sweet, really like inspiring, and really short. So this one is only, this is an excerpt from the next book. So I don't know, maybe 250 pages, and they're like huge font, and it's generally letters. So let me tell you an extraordinary story about my best-selling novel, Suzanne's Diary for Nicholas. So I did read that. And after it was published, let's see, this is just another story similar to that, and I can't wait. Next is Dream Lake by Lisa Kleypas. So this is a part of her Friday Harbor series, I think, and I own the first 2, and so this is number 3, I think, and I don't know if they're companions or not. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've read 1 and 2. But Alex Nolan is as bitter and cynical as they come, one of the 3 Nolan brothers who call Friday Harbor home. So I think that's what it is. Each book follows a different brother. He's nothing like Sam or Mark. They actually believe in love, think the risk of pain is worth the chance of happiness, but Alex battles his demons with the help of a whiskey bottle, and he lives his own private hell. And then a ghost shows up. Only Alex can see him. Has Alex finally crossed over to the threshold to insanity? Zoe is gentle and romantic. She meets Alex. It's their relationship. Sounds great. This is not, so Lisa Kleypas does both contemporary and historical, and this is a contemporary, if you couldn't tell by that synopsis. This is not historical. Next is one that I have already read and wanted for my shelves, and it's Then Came You by Jennifer Weiner. So Jennifer Weiner now has kind of edged into this territory of doing like romantic mysteries or women's fiction mysteries, and it hasn't really been working for me lately. And I haven't liked some of her more recent stuff, but this is one of her older books. I can't remember exactly when it was published. It doesn't really matter, but I have read this and really liked it, and it's an unexpected love story. Julie Strauss is a Princeton senior with a full scholarship, acquaintances instead of friends, and a family she's ashamed to invite to Parents' Weekend. With the income she'll receive from donating her pedigree eggs, she believes she can save her father from addiction. I'm not going to say any more. There's another character named Annie. Annie Barrow is married to her high school sweetheart and became the mother of 2 boys. After years of staying at home and struggling to support 4 people on her husband's salary, she thinks she found a way to recover a sense of purpose and bring in some extra cash. And then there's India Bishop, who's, it says 38, really 43. Has changed everything about herself, her name, her face, her past. In New York City, she falls for a wealthy older man and decides a baby will ensure a happy ending. So the 3 of them, and her attempts at pregnancy fail, so she turns to technology and Annie and Jules to help her dreams come true. So the 3 women, fertility, I love these books. So, and I'm finding, I have a daughter named Annie, and I'm finding so many main characters named Annie in books lately, and this is another one. So this will go on my already read shelf and one that I would like to reread someday. Next is Wish You Well by David Baldacci. So I was back and forth of if I should buy this or not. One, because David Baldacci is really prolific, and I've only read a couple of his books, but I've really liked all of them. And so this is kind of, I mean, you can find a ton of them always. But mass market paperback is not my favorite, but this one sounded good. So precocious 12-year-old Louisa May Cardinal lives in the hectic New York City of 1940 with her family. Then tragedy strikes, and Lou and her younger brother Oz must go with their invalid mother to live on their great-grandmother's farm in the Virginia mountains. Suddenly, Lou finds herself coming of age in a new landscape, making her first true friend and experiencing adventures tragic, comic, and audacious. But the forces of greed and justice are about to clash over her new home, and as their struggle is played out in a crowded Virginia courtroom, it'll determine the future of 2 children, an entire town, and the mountains they love. It sounds really interesting to me. Next is Ellen Hildebrand, A Summer Affair. So I don't need to know anything about this. Ellen Hildebrand writes summer women's fiction so well, and this is one that I didn't have. So this is Claire Wants It All, and in the eyes of her friends, she has it. A devoted husband, 4 beautiful children, even a successful career as an artist. But when serving as co-chair of Nantucket's social event of the year propels Claire into the orbit of billionaire Locke Dixon, unexpected sparks begin to fly. So I hope this isn't like 28 Summers, I think, is one that there is a lot of cheating that I could not get behind. I hope this isn't that way. Especially like A Summer Affair would kind of indicate that it is, but we'll see. And yeah, Ellen Hildebrand, Nantucket, summer, women's fiction, all those things, perfect. Next is Broken Wings by Carla Stewart. So this one, like for some reason, this kind of cover always gets me. But this is on stage. The singing duo of Gabe and Mitzi Steiner captured America's heart for more than 2 decades. Off stage, their hearts have throbbed as one for 60 years. Only now Gabe has retreated into the tangles of Alzheimer's, leaving Mitzi to ponder her future alone. So then there's also the story of Brooke Woodson. They think she's found the perfect man, a handsome lawyer, etc. But she doesn't feel sure, and he can't control his anger. And so this is going to be like a hard-hitting one. When an accident lands Brooke in the hospital where Mitzi volunteers, the 2 women quickly develop an unlikely friendship. So this is going to be a hard-hitting one, hard-hitting women's fiction, and I eat that up. Next is Picture This by Jacqueline Sheehan, and this is the sequel to Lost and Found, and I read that one and liked it. I love books with dogs, and this one... let's see. I don't know. You guys, it's been years since I read Lost and Found. When at the time that I bought this, I kind of refreshed myself and remember it. But now, again, I don't. If you can tell, we've got like a respiratory head cold situation going on, so my brain's a little off. But Peaks Island, Maine vibrates with its own special magic, a unique flow to life that knits together the small community it calls home. The people, the animals, and even the houses have a charm and personality all their own. Just as Rocky Pellegrino. Devastated by her husband Bob's sudden death, she found hope thanks to a relentless, loyal black lab named Cooper. Warm friends and a new job, and the island's animal control warden have helped Rocky chart her course towards a promising future. She's ready to try love again. A phone call from a troubled young woman looking for her biological father shakes Rocky's newfound joy. I don't know. Sounds good. And then two more. This one, so Colleen Coble, I just said I think I like her standalones better. This is the first in the Sunset Cove series. And so I only bought the first because if I don't like it, I'm not going to keep the entire series. And like I've done before. So this is in 1989, Claire Delamere disappeared from her own 4th birthday party at the Hotel Tourmaline on the island of Folly Shoals, Maine. So I have a 5, 3, and 1-year-old almost so, like, this may be a little triggering, but nobody knows where Claire spent that year until now. Claire didn't even know she'd been missing. That sounds so intriguing to me. So, sounds like something I want to read, but I'm a little freaked out by. And then last is Tallgrass by Sandra Dallas. So this one, during World War II, a family finds life turned upside down when the government opens a Japanese internment camp in their small Colorado town. After a young girl's murder, all eyes and suspicions turn to the newcomers, the interlopers, the strangers. This is her town, as Rennie Stroud has never seen it before. She's just turned 13, and until this time, life has pretty much been what her father told her it should be, predictable and fair. But now the winds of change are coming, and with them a shift in her perspective. She'll discover secrets, part thriller, part historical fiction. Sounds awesome. So that is everything that I got from the library book sale, you guys. Whew, thanks for hanging in here with me. That was a long one. And I'm so excited to read all of these. In fact, some of them I've already requested from the library, or from the library digitally. And so I can read them both ways so I can get through them even faster because I can't wait. And so let me know if you've heard of any of these. If there's any that I should like bump up to the top of the stack, let me know. I can't wait. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.